Good evening. Welcome to Outside the Game. This evening, I have another special guest, someone who is dear and near to me, a good friend, Mr. Bruce Jenkins.
What's going on, man?
Bruce, I appreciate you being here.
No
You know
problem,
this
brother.
means a lot,
No problem.
coming from somebody like yourself, man. And I'm just happy to have you here and have this conversation with you this evening. So I'm just going to let everyone know a little bit about you. Uh, Bruce attended North Carolina A&T in 1998 into 2003, where he received a BS in fitness, wellness, and management, and also played basketball. Bruce also received a MS in criminal justice management from the University of Maryland in 2014. Also in 2014, Bruce coached at Long Reach High School in Columbia, Maryland. From 2016 to 2018, Bruce was the assistant coach at PG Community College. In 2017, they won the JUCO title. In March of 2016, Bruce started BJ Sports and Fitness, and currently he is the program coordinator at Anacostia Senior High School. In September 23rd of this year, Bruce will be inducted into the North Carolina A&T Hall of Fame. First of all, that's big right there.
Appreciate it, man.
That's big. Being inducted to the Hall of Fame is huge, and not many people um, get to have that honor. So having your
Yeah, it's a
jersey,
blessing.
yes, in the Raptors forever, is good. So let's just start off. First of all, let's talk about BJ Sports a little bit.
Okay.
Tell me what it is that you do and what you guys do.
So we BJ3 Sports and Fitness started in 2014, like you stated. And it started off with mostly training athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about basketball players, football, swimming, baseball, the whole nine. And it branched out and became a household name in the DMV. And now we do online fitness, we do sports performance, the whole nine, and it's blowing up. During the pandemic, it's been a real blessing because, as you know, people have been confined to their own homes.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, when you're married, you have the luxury of having somebody that gives you good advice.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're smart and you're wise, you'll listen.
Absolutely.
You know where I'm going with this.
Absolutely, sir.
So, of course,
Yes, sir.
my love was basketball. So I'm like, I'm gonna do basketball. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
train. That's what I do. But as you know, in the DMV, that the basketball training circuit is saturated with trainers.
Yes.
I'm talking about good trainers.
Mm-hmm.
But my wife was like, I think you need to go back working with people who have regular schedules and
Yeah.
want to lose weight, struggling with obesity,
Always a need there.
confidence,
Always a need there. Always.
men, women, kids, the
It
whole
don't matter.
nine.
Yes, sir.
So I did it,
Mm-hmm.
listened, and it's just been blowing up. Online fitness, virtual training it's been amazing. I
Mm-hmm.
have about 30 to 40 clients right now,
Yes, sir.
all online, and people are seeing amazing results. And it's just, a testament to my wife and God putting us in a situation where we can, you know, have a lucrative business
Mm-hmm.
in your own living.
Mm-hmm. Don't get no better
You
than
don't get no better than that.
that.
You know,
Don't get no
get no
better
better
than
than
that.
that. So
Yeah. So tell the people where can they find you if they
yeah,
want to go online to find you, or get some
yeah.
apparel or whatever. Tell them
Yeah.
where they
So
can
my
find you
website
at.
is bj3sportsandfitness.com. You can check me out on Instagram at BJ3 Sports. You can also check me out on Facebook, BJ3 Sports and Fitness LLC. And that's it. My email is BJ3sportsandfitness at Gmail. And you can check me out on Tuesdays, Thursdays at 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. for the metabolic training, which is 30 minutes. And you can also check me out on Tuesday and Thursdays at 6:20 a.m. for the chair workouts. And that's mainly
Heard
between
about
the
them chair
ages. Yeah, the
workouts.
chair workouts, no joke.
Heard about them.
A lot of people think it's sweet.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beast, and people are really seeing results.
Mm-hmm.
And that's between the ages of 30, 60, 70.
Mm-hmm.
And my chair gang, they get it. They go get it. And then the last slide is on Saturdays at 8 a.m. where we combine the chair, and sometimes we do the metabolic training so we can get everybody in. Get everybody involved. So it's been a blessing, man.
Yeah. So make sure y'all check him out. And he just told y'all where to find him.
Yep.
So we're gonna jump right into it. So tell me a little bit about the start of your basketball career. How did you start playing in the game of basketball? What attracted to you? What attracted the game to
So it
you?
all started with a gentleman by the name of Joe Clark. You probably know him.
Mm-hmm.
He played at Anacostia.
Yes, sir.
Been working in the rec department for years.
Long time.
Long time. And it all started with him. Had fun, develop skills. That was his main mantra.
Skills.
Have fun, develop skills. And I took that mentality and that spirit that he had, and that took me to middle school where I went to Fort Lincoln. I started out at Shade, went to Fort Lincoln, but that's why I met Joe Clark and I learned how to play the game of basketball the correct way.
Correct.
Um, Left Fort Lincoln, went to Wilson High School with you.
Yes, sir.
Played under Coach Jones. Great experience. Played with guys like Gerald Brown, William Hayes. I think Leslie Ballard was a senior when I was there. Of course, you. A lot of great players came to that program. Frank
Crawford.
Frank Crawford.
Yeah. A lot of us, man.
Yeah, man. So
Fonzo
Lee. Yeah, we just had him on your podcast.
Yes, sir.
Good guy.
Yes, sir.
Could jump out the gym. When I left there, we moved out to Maryland, Silver Spring. So I went to Blair High School.
Okay.
Out there with Steve Francis, Wynn, Jason Mascara, all those guys.
Okay.
And I used to watch those guys. I'm sorry, not Blair. I went to St. John's my junior year. We getting old, man. I forget.
I know.
But St. John's my junior year, over there with Coach DeStefano.
Okay.
Coach DeStefano got a scholarship to St. John's, and we were able to play against guys like Keith Bogans, Joe Forte.
Tough at the mountain.
Man, WCAC
that was tough. Joe Forte and Keith Bogans.
Keith Bogans
were a tough duo.
Keith Bogans was a pro in high school, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They were very tough in high school.
Very tough. And there was no nights off. Curl, they had Lomax.
Yeah.
Who else? The list goes on, man. Rashawn Johnson, Alvin Brown, at Gonzaga.
Alvin was nice.
It was no nights off, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So me leaving Wilson going to St. John was a culture shock, not only on the court, but academically. And most of the gentlemen and young ladies that go to private schools at that level, they already start at a young age. And academically, I kind of struggled a little bit just to keep it 100 with you.
So, as a matter of fact, elaborate a little bit more about that, about what was the culture shock, because a lot of it is a guy coming from an inner city school,
right,
and going to, I guess, a whole nother world.
World.
So, elaborate a little bit about that, or some of the obstacles and some of the things you went to adjust to make it.
So, when we talk about a whole nother world, we're talking about how you walk, how you talk, how you dress.
That's right.
How you interact socially with your peers. It was a total shock. And hindsight, I kind of wish I would have stayed, but I'm glad I left, because when I went to Blair, my career just took off. I led the state of Maryland in rebounding, scoring for a while, and we was playing against guys like Charles Johnson, just to name a few. The Montgomery County was tough. I mean, of course, it wasn't WCAC,
of course,
in high, but it was tough. It was tough. So did well there, ended up getting a scholarship to North Carolina A&T. So with those three experiences, that took me to the next level when I went to HBCU.
At what point in time did you realize that I might can do something about this? I may can go D1.
Right.
When did it all come together on the court? About what year? You said probably your senior year?
Junior year.
Playing
in WCAC kind of showed me, okay, these guys are already on a Division I level. They're going to Division I schools, and I'm competing at a high level. I know I can go to Division I. I know I can go to Division I. Now my decision to go to an HBCU, we can jump into that, was a tough one. But my history and my family, most of my people, my father went to Salem State.
Okay.
Played with Earl the Pearl. So hearing those stories and him taking me to the Aggie Eagles, games like that, he took me to a game. It was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer. And I was already like, okay, so who do you all play? When I went, who do you all play? And they already were playing mid-major level schools, James Madison, VCU. So I was like, okay, if it's not going to be Duke, if I don't get a scholarship to Duke, Carolina, then I'm going to HBCU, because I'm still playing the same level. And when I come home, I'm still playing against the guys from the city. Yeah. So I made that decision, and it was the best decision. Like you said, I'm in the Hall of Fame. God bless on that. Family supporting me, to reach that point. And the biggest thing I can say that I took from an HBCU is just that camaraderie and that family love that I got from an HBCU. I can still go back. I can still talk to the guys that I played with.
Yeah, that's big.
I can go back and still talk to the professors. Like when I go back, it's like going back home. And I don't think I would have got that at a mid-level Division One school.
yeah.
Nothing, no knock on them, but I don't think I would have got that.
Yeah, it feels like family, and
It's
you make
family, man.
and you make those friendships, and those are things that carry out with you for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
Just like me and you, we met each other over 20 some
Right, right,
years
right,
ago,
right, right.
and and you build those relationships with people, and that's something just good because building relationships is key as you get older.
Exactly.
One of my philosophy is you're only as good as the people around you
It's a
because you
fact.
cannot do anything by
It's a
yourself.
fact.
You always need help, and you need good people around
That's
you to
right.
guide you, tell you when you're wrong, and be real
Yep.
with you.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about your mindset
Hmm.
when you got to North Carolina A&T. Now I know you said it was a little culture shock when you went from St. John's to Blair.
Right.
Was it a?
Right.
I'm sure it was a little more culture shock, kind of when you went to North Carolina A&T. Or what was the obstacles? Because you were on your
Yeah.
own. You had to learn how to be an adult. You had to go to class.
Yeah.
You had to manage. So what was just the difference? What was your mindset going into it? And what were some of the obstacles that you faced your first year there?
So, I would say the biggest obstacle was being that far away from home for that amount of time.
Mhm.
We take trips to go see family,
Right.
but when your family pulls off, it's a little different,
Yeah.
And then you're seeing the obstacles like the ladies, you're seeing the parties, you're seeing the academic standard that they hold at A&T,
Mhm.
and you already know that you got to compete at a certain level because you're coming from home, coming from the DMV, and
Mhm.
you didn't make a decision to go to a high level Division One school. So now you gotta show up,
Absolutely.
you
Absolutely.
gotta represent.
Hmm.
So just all of those different factors, the obstacles of being focused and not getting caught up in that Aggie lifestyle that you can get caught up. A lot of people got sent home early because they
Yeah.
couldn't juggle the books, the
Hmm.
partying.
Hmm.
It's crazy down
Yeah.
there.
It's hard to stay
And
focused.
if you went to Morgan, Norfolk, the same. It's the
Hmm.
same thing. But A&T is another level on and off the court. And
Hmm.
if you don't have that foundation from your home, you're gonna fall. You might fall to the wayside.
Yep. What was the hardest thing about playing D1 basketball that you didn't know before you went to North Carolina A&T? I'm sure you knew it was going to be an
Hmm.
adjustment and everything, but what was the toughest part about it? The toughest adjustment or something that was just you had no idea that it was that tough playing on that level. What was something that gets
Well,
stuck out to you?
physically, it's a culture shock because your body has to be in the best shape.
Hmm.
Talent wise, we were already playing at home against the best, so
Hmm.
that wasn't really an issue. But it was the physicality of it, preparing your body in the summer, and I would say grasping the information that your coach gives you.
A lot of information.
A lot of information, and you don't have time to ask a bunch of questions. And once he says it, you got to grasp it and you got to
Got to
move it.
do
If
it.
you can't, the guy behind you, he
He
got you.
will.
He got you.
He will.
He got you. So you come
Yep.
sit here while you figure it out.
Yep. And when
So
you'll be
yeah,
here for a minute.
exactly. You're gonna be sitting here for a while,
Yeah.
especially if he get hot and.
Yes.
So getting the information from the coach and applying it,
Hmm.
you know.
And I think that's a huge thing because
Hmm.
sometimes in high school sports they aren't the most structured. Sometimes you come from a
There
program
you
where you're
go.
just more talented or your team is more talented, so you may not have as many sets. You may not have many different variations of
Yep.
the offense to run.
Yep.
So I know going to that level, man, you got one play and it's 5, 6, 7 different options off that one play.
And you're not the best anymore.
You're not the best. That was one of the things I wanted to hear you
You're
say
not the best
because
anymore.
that's a
In
really
your
a
mind,
culture.
you might be.
Yep. But you're competing against everybody now.
Yep.
So the pool is a bigger pool.
It's a bigger
So it
pool.
ain't just the DMV. Now you're talking about Oklahoma, Texas, and all
Kentucky.
Kentucky,
Yeah.
Florida.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
you you competing against the best in the country,
Yep.
actually. So that's definitely something that I wanted to hear you say because that's always a culture shock. You gotta be physical, you gotta be mentally tough, man, because it's a whole nother level and nobody's gonna coddle you. In high school, if you
No
was good,
sir.
your coach will coddle you a little bit. He'll let you, cheat this and cheat that a little
Yeah.
bit and all that in college.
Oh, you want to sub? You tired? No.
No, up in that
Mm-mm.
level, you're just a number. And if
Just a
you ain't
number.
ready, you're somebody right behind you
That's
that's
right.
ready to go and licking their chops.
If you can't cut it on any different area on and off the court,
Hmm.
it's somebody is going to take your spot.
Hmm. I
So
agree.
you got to be ready, man.
I agree. So throughout your career, what what was the most important thing or important experience that you took with you from your college experience? What was it that you learned and you just took it and you cultivated it because it stuck out to you? What were some of the things that you
Building
learned about?
relationships, number one. Coming from the DMV, when I first went down to A&T, people were speaking. And in the DMV, we don't speak like
No,
that. Like it's like,
no. Like you
what
spoke,
you,
you
what you,
spoke to me. Like, what's wrong with
where you
you?
from? Like, I
Yes,
remember
sir.
asking my friend, like, why everybody speak?
Speak it
But
so
that's how it is
nice.
in the South. You
Yes.
know what I'm saying? You can let
Mm-hmm.
your guard down.
Mm-hmm.
And once I learned that, the transition became easier. But building relationships with guys that are not from the same city you're from, the same background, the same perspective that you have,
Mm-hmm.
is major because I can still call some of those guys now and we can have conversations, or if I need something or they need something.
Mm-hmm.
That's what takes you further in life now.
Yeah.
It's not, like you said, it's not
I
about what
agree.
you know.
Yeah, it's
It's
who you
about
know.
who you know
Yeah.
and how you're able to um, be a part of a team.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're at work, the same thing. You're
Yep.
not the best anymore.
Nope.
So if we got a project, we got something we got to take care of. You got to be a part of a team now. You got to give your perspective. They got to give their perspective, and you
Mm-hmm.
got to come together and make it
Mm-hmm.
work.
Yep.
Right. So I would say building relationships and being coachable.
Definitely.
Being coachable takes you a long way.
Yeah.
And I talk to kids about that all the time. Just be coachable, man. Be humble.
Yep. Yep. You,
You
you
know.
you have to in a world of life.
Yeah.
You have to be able to take constructive
Yes,
criticism.
sir.
You have to. You have
Even if
to.
it ain't constructive, take it, swallow it, keep it moving.
It's always something to learn
That's it.
out of every situation, no matter what it is, whether
Yep.
it's good, bad, or whatever.
Yep.
And you just gotta take it on the
You gotta
chin,
eat
man.
it, man.
You gotta eat it, and that's part of being
That's
a
it.
grown up,
That's it.
and
Yeah.
just being real with it.
Yeah.
So if you can do college over again, what would be the thing that you would do different? Is it something that you sit back and say, "Ah, I wish I would just did this"? Now, clearly, you had an outstanding career. You're in the Hall of Fame for a reason. But is it something that stick out that you wish you could have did a little different
On and out the court, or just
on and off the court?
and I had a ball. Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what would I have done different?
Yep. If there's anything you
I
could
would
have
have
done
on the
different.
court. I would have slowed down.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have took that first shot. Worked the ball around a little bit more. Um, I probably would have worked on my ball hand a little bit more. So I could have been more of a an asset on the wing. Because when I went to overseas after playing the four, I was 6'6", about 220, but I could jump, I could get the rebounds, and I could do the dirty work, and that's what I did in high school. But when I went overseas, Jokers was 6'8", 6'9", 250, 260. I was like, oh
Grown man.
man.
Grown man.
So that
Yeah.
was my first time playing the three,
Mm-hmm.
just the three, not the 3-4, but the
Right.
three.
Right. And that's
And it
usually
was a
that's a tough,
huge
tougher position to guard.
adjustment.
Tougher position to
Tough to
guard.
guard, and you
Yeah.
got to go score. So you're coming on screens, you're doing all those different things, and the practices you're doing nothing but conditioning. You're running, you're getting shots up, you're putting the ball on the floor. So I think I wish I could have did that over again. Just kind of spread my game out a little bit. Like my game, it evolved each year.
Mm-hmm.
But if I could have experienced, facing the basket a little bit more. I think I would have been
So expanding
more.
your game a little
Yeah,
more.
expand my
Expand the
game a
game a
little bit
little more.
more. I think
Yeah. And that's the key because on the next level,
yeah.
they expect you to do a lot of different things and then they
Oh
expect you
yeah.
to do them well.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm
Oh yeah.
saying? So
Oh yeah.
you have a role on the team you're in. But when you go to that next level, you have to expand your game because your role increases, the entitlement increases, the responsibilities increase.
Yep.
So that's really key that kids understand. You have to expand your game and don't get caught up on being just a
Gotta
rebounder.
be listening, man. I'm gonna tell you a story. I was in Brazil.
Hmm.
I was in a tournament with a guy named Jamil Hayward. Shout out to my man.
And hold
Good
on,
dude.
before you do that, tell the people a little bit about where you played at because I didn't even tell them
Overseas,
you
yeah.
played overseas. Tell them who you played with, and then go right into the story.
Yeah, so I played overseas. My first country that I played in was Belgium.
Okay.
In Brussels.
Okay.
Real nice spot, man.
Okay.
Had my own place, knew my own car. Had a great time. Played for Vilvoorde, did a good job over there. And left there and went to, I think it was either Finland or Luxembourg.
Wow. Okay.
Played in Argentina and played in Uruguay, and then made the All Star team. And now I'm back in the story that I'm about to tell you with my guy.
Yes, sir.
Right. So, coming from college, like we said, I was always the man in college, right, in high school. But now that I'm overseas, it's another transition. So I never forget. I had a good game. I had like 30, right? But I shot the ball like, you know me from Wilson. I was shooting the ball, man. I let it fly,
Oh
right?
yeah, absolutely.
So my roommate at the time, my man Jamil Hayward, was telling me, I never forget this conversation. He was telling me, he said, look, you can score, you can do all these different things, but you're not efficient.
Mm.
It
It's
takes you
big.
30 shots to get
Get to
30.
it's not
So he
efficient.
said, slow down, let the game come to you. And I had heard that before,
Mm-hmm.
but on a professional level, it hit a little different.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if it was coming from a guy that I respected and could play. He could play
Correct.
too.
Correct.
So he was like, shoot less and make the shots that you're shooting. Like, really focus on making the shots when you get them,
Make
but
them count.
don't rush them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So then I started to shoot less of my shots, but take better shots. And my percentage went up, and my team started winning more.
Because
So
you
I
know what?
kept contracts now because my team is winning, and now I'm scoring too at the same time.
Correct.
See,
Correct.
overseas, you could be scoring 45 a game, but if your team is losing, they got
It's
to get
nothing.
somebody else.
Yep.
Or vice versa, you could be winning, but you're not scoring enough. So
Mm-hmm.
it's tough. It's tough
Mm-hmm.
overseas, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was a true story, man. I learned a lot from that situation.
What was the best experience overseas? Because you hear
Hmm.
a lot of the bad, but you know, let's talk about the good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What was the best thing about that experience? Because for a guy coming from DC and going overseas,
Hmm.
seeing the world, different cultures, what was the best thing? What was some of the eye opening things about over there that helped you grow up to become the man that you are today? Because I'm sure you learned a lot of things over there that helped shape you.
Yeah, being able to adjust quickly.
Hmm.
Um, it doesn't matter that you don't know Spanish in South America. You better figure it
You
out.
better figure it out.
If you want to eat, if you want to move around, you better figure it
Look,
out.
you wanted this food, right?
I'm telling you. And you could be in a town where it's not a lot to do,
Hmm.
but you got to build relationships real quick. Once
Correct.
again, because you don't know how to move around. So you
Hmm.
got to talk to the guy at the internet cafe. You got to
Correct.
talk to the guy at the grocery store. You
Hmm.
got to figure it. You got to figure it out. And I think that's the biggest lesson in all of these things with athletics and training and fitness is figuring it out. People are not going to spoon feed you. You got to figure it out.
Hmm.
So that was the biggest thing about overseas. I was able to figure it out, and then coming back to the states,
Hmm.
it became easier
Hmm.
because I had been to places where I didn't know the language.
Right.
I had to learn a language in
Language.
Finland, Luxembourg, and
Yeah.
I had to learn body language and how to move in
Right.
certain
Right.
environments.
Right.
You know, it's
It's much
different.
different
Yeah,
over there.
eye contact could to be taken a certain way. Your body,
Hmm.
you know, all those
Hmm.
different things. I remember in Argentina, we played in Argentina in Buenos Aires, and you know how when the rivals were in DC when we played against Easton and teams
Hmm.
like that, when people on
Hmm.
the court, it's
Oh yeah.
crazy.
Oh yeah.
It's times 1,000 in Argentina.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't care about you being from Southwest, Mike, or
Right.
Northeast. They on the court. Hey, hey, hey. It's
Yeah.
crazy. So
Yeah.
you got to be able to adjust, man.
Hmm.
You had the
Hmm.
experience in high school. You had experience in college. Now it's on a whole another level.
Level. Yep. You gotta be able to adapt.
That's it.
You gotta be able
And
to
every
adapt.
move got to count.
Everything.
Every move got to count.
So, what would be your advice to a kid right now sitting at home
Hmm.
and they got them aspirations of playing college basketball, NBA, overseas, Big Three, with Ice
Hmm.
Cube, or the G League, whatever? What's your advice to that kid who wants to make them dreams come true? What would you tell them? Some of the most important things that you need to accomplish that goal.
I would say number one, of course, education is number one. Um, but I would say number two, outside of your talent and working on your game, like everybody at this point knows, work on your game,
Right,
stay in the gym.
right.
That's what we preach
Basic
that.
stuff. Yep.
But the biggest thing is who you are as a person. I'm gonna say that. When I run into guys that I played with, they don't remember. They don't think. They don't. We don't talk about how many points I scored.
That's right.
People respect me about what kind of person I was.
That's right. Now that's
He was a
huge.
good dude, man.
Yeah.
He talked trash, but he was, you know, it was always on a respect level, and that's what I always
Yeah.
respected about playing in DMV and just playing basketball. Period.
Hmm.
The relationships that I built with people when I played at different places. I also played in USBL,
Okay.
Greg Jones, Tutu, all them guys played.
Let people know what the USBL is, just in case they
USBL
don't
is a
know.
semi-pro league, right?
Mhm.
And it's for guys trying to get to the D League or get to the NBA. It's like that one-stop shop where you want to hone your skills, and you might
Mhm.
not have a contract overseas, but you're still active. You're still playing against the best.
Correct.
You know what I'm
Correct.
saying? So you might have a team in Pittsburgh. You might have a team in Oklahoma where I played,
Mhm.
Oklahoma Storm.
Mhm.
I played under Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. We won a championship that year.
Wow.
We played against Corey Brewer. We playing against Ira Clark. Ira Clark was on my team, Beast.
Howard Clark was nice.
He was nasty,
Hey,
Slim.
he was a man amongst
He was
boys. He was
nasty.
super strong.
Um, what's the guy name from Oklahoma? Played with Oklahoma State. I think his name was Corey. I think it was. Dark skin got real good guard. And these guys were from everywhere, man.
Mhm.
So in that I learned a lot. Now that was the first place I played before I went overseas.
Mhm.
So that really opened my eyes up
Yeah.
to working hard,
Mhm.
getting your rest. Now
Mhm.
some guys can stay up till 3 or 4 in the morning, party all night,
And still be ready the
and
next
still
day.
give you 30. It blew my mind,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Professional is a
Yeah.
whole another different level,
It
man.
is. It
So
is.
I can't even imagine the NBA.
Yeah.
Like them guys on
Because
another
everybody's
level.
different.
Everybody's different.
What makes everybody tick is so different. You
That's
got
it.
so many different strong
Yeah.
personalities and egos in the room that you got to deal with. So when
Yeah.
you get to that professional level, it's not just put the ball in the hole.
Nah.
Everybody can put
That's
the
such a
ball in the
small
hole.
part of it, man.
Yeah, everybody can put the ball in the hole. A lot of them things boil down to how are you as a person? Are you
Yep.
coachable? Them same things you were just talking
Yep.
about are the things that
Waiting your
made you
turn.
them the things that made you successful because you learned them things, coachable and all them things, and that's
Yep.
what helped you succeed from just hearing your story. That's what helped you succeed over
That's
there.
it.
Had you not learned them things, you'd been dead in the water.
Dead in the water. And that's what's taking me to the next level in just life, period, man. It's just being able to adjust
Mm-hmm.
and learn and stop running your mouth. Just watch.
Yep, and be coachable.
That's right. And
Yep.
like I said, work playing in semi-pro and the USBL, being able to sit on the bench, humble yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But when the coach calls your name, you better perform.
Be ready. That's your time. And so me and
Oh
Coach
man.
Rob was talking about
Mm-hmm.
yesterday. We were talking about he was talking about going hard all the time
Mm-hmm.
because he was saying you never know. He told me a story about a kid that nobody was recruiting, and he went to a game and he saw this kid just going hard. His skill set
It's
wasn't
attractive.
good,
It's attractive.
but he said, "I can teach him how to shoot. I can teach him how to dribble.
Mm-hmm.
Can't teach him that motor. That boy run hard. He blocking shots. He hustling, and he signed up, and he ended up. He said making a big bucket, a big bucket, and still to contribute to a championship. And he was great on his press. So my thing is coming
Mm-hmm.
back to say that is going hard all the time. That matters. You got to go 100% all the
All the
time.
time.
Every time because you never know when that opportunity is there. Who in the gym? He talked about John Morant.
Mm-hmm.
John Morant was a nobody. He was at an AAU game. A scout was in another gym, and he was in the auxiliary gym,
Mm-hmm.
and he heard all these ooh and ah, and one over there, and he said, "He's a star.
Mm-hmm.
Let's sign him now." So going hard and just going hard all the time and just working hard is very important.
See, when you go hard all the time, it doesn't matter where you play.
Hmm.
It's something about when somebody sees you and you just going 110.
Hmm.
People want to be around that.
Yeah, it's contagious.
They want to get the paperwork out and get you to sign something when you going hard.
It's
It's
contagious.
contagious, man,
Hmm.
and it changes the culture.
Hmm.
So once you're going hard and you stay and you become that becomes who you are,
Hmm.
you never lose, man.
Yeah, it becomes a part of your DNA.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
So part of me starting up an echelon and
Hmm.
doing this for the kids is outside the game stuff.
Hmm.
Um, for our people, I guess feel like sometimes we feel like if you're not shooting a jump shot or if you're not rapping, it's really nothing else.
Hmm.
So part of the name, image, and likeness, what we're gonna get to in 1 second. But tell the kids how important it was for you, a guy who traveled overseas,
Hmm.
had all these experiences. Talk about BJ Sports and the quality of life it's brought to you, and how huge it is was for you to build your brand outside of the game, and what that affords you. Because when at some point in time the ball stops dripping,
Hmm.
and what you gonna do? Because and so I give out numbers all the time.
Hmm.
78,816 NCAA men's football players every year.
Hmm.
2.6 make the NFL. 18,216 men's basketball players. 21% maybe go overseas or to the pros. 1.6 make the NBA. I'm a math and that good, Bruce, but that sounds like a lot of kids who are going to need to
It's
build
good
their brain.
enough.
Yeah.
Man, it's good
And
enough.
so and we're going to get into that next. But just tell the kids how important it was for you to establish BJ3 and you know, and build your brand for your life outside of the game. Because when the ball stops, the check stops rolling in. So talk about how important that was for you in your life and how important it is for them to establish their brands and build their brands outside the game because you know, that name, image, and likeness in college, a lot of them aren't going to make it the pros, but they can be good like you scoring 20 and 30 points a game, and they can take advantage of that platform. So just speak about that a little bit.
So having your own brand, having your own business, if I could go back, I wish I would have started way earlier than 30 something.
And they have the opportunity now.
They got the opportunity.
They got the opportunity.
You got the equipment, you got the technology, you got the resources. I mean, if I had social media back when the man,
Boy, Rob said the same thing. We was talking about that.
man.
Different world. Different. I mean, it's a whole different ball game.
But at the same time, I'm glad we didn't have it
Mm-hmm.
because it forced us to be social.
Yes.
You had to have a personality. You had to be able to mesh
Communicate.
with different people and
Yeah.
communicate.
Yes.
You can't. We couldn't
Text.
get on Instagram and holler at a girl. You had to actually go over there and say something to her, or to get a job. You can just go online and send a message. Like you had to really go to the actual place and say,
Mm-hmm.
"Look, I'm interested in it." Like you really had to use your social skills. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? But back to your question, I would say start early, and when you start with your business plan. That's first and foremost. Get you a mentor. Get you a mentor because when you have a mentor, it allows you to skip all of the obstacles that you would have
And the
got if you did on
mistakes.
the mistakes that you would
Mm-hmm.
have. Now you're gonna have
Still,
obstacles,
yes, yes.
but a mentor is nothing but a coach. Look, don't do this, do this. The business plan that helps you to make sure that your whole plan is mapped out. You know what you're doing in 5 to 10 years to 15 to 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just going each year. I want to do this. No, you already had that thing mapped out. So get your business plan, get a mentor, start early. Don't let it get in the way of your schoolwork
Correct.
and doing what you're supposed to be doing at
Right.
home and in the classroom
Right.
because we do that. They do that too. Then we don't talk about that enough.
Mm-hmm.
At
Mm-hmm.
this rate, kids are quitting school and doing this and doing just to rap, but they don't have no plan.
How important is the education piece? You know, talk about
Yeah,
how important that is because, like you said, we always jump in ship to go this and that.
yeah, yeah.
But talk about that education piece because that has
Hmm.
afforded you the
Right.
opportunities that you had because you went to school. You just didn't go straight
Exactly.
overseas. You took the
Exactly.
time to get your BS and your MS and get that education so you can have that foundation. Because without that foundation, it's gonna crumble.
It's gonna
So,
crumble.
so speak about that a little
So,
bit.
so education is key, not only just for the information.
Hmm.
We know education affords you the opportunity to learn more.
Correct.
But in my opinion,
Hmm.
all getting your bachelor's and getting your high school diploma and getting your master's, it's putting you through a process,
That's right.
right?
Hmm.
It's putting you in a situation where you've got to be disciplined. You got to get up and study. You got to do this. You got to talk to your classmates, talk to your teacher. You got to do your research. So all of those things, when people see on your resume, okay, he got his bachelor's degree, he got his master's degree. What that tells them is he's able to go through a process for a certain amount of time, stay focused,
Hmm.
and get it done. It separates you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care what nobody's telling you. Getting that education takes you a long way. Now it has changed a little bit,
Hmm.
but
Hmm. Hmm.
it's the biggest blessing I think I've ever had is getting my master's and getting my bachelor's because now I'm able to pick and choose what I want to do, and I have a backup now.
You have the option because
I
of
got
education. That's right.
options. I
That's
don't
right.
if
You're
if
not
if I
locked in,
if I want to stop BJ3 today, I can still get a job.
and you're still supporting your family.
That's
Still,
right.
nothing changes,
That's it.
and that's where I was getting with it at
Yeah.
because you know, I talk about building the brand and the business,
Hmm.
but I also feel for me, I feel like the education piece is still important. You know,
You wouldn't be in the federal government without it.
got to do it.
So
You got to
now,
do
so now, so watch this. Me and you are sitting here. We both got a business. We both got education.
it.
We
Hmm.
both experienced playing basketball.
Hmm.
But we wouldn't have got that if we wouldn't have went through a process. See, nobody wants to go through a process anymore. And you got to go through a process.
Yep, I call it the instant generation,
That's
the
it.
easy button.
That's it.
They just want to
Oh,
hit
that's
it
gonna
and
take
done.
too long. I'm not going to school, man. I want it now.
Right now.
But what have you learned? Like that's what education is. That's what getting a job at Burger King or internship or DC Summer Works.
Yep.
That's what it taught us.
Yep.
It taught us how to go through a process and learn from somebody else. So now we're able to interact, start our own business, and now we get your podcast.
Yep, and we trusted the process. That's the
it.
biggest thing. We trusted the work
Yeah.
that we was putting in. We trusted our mentors and the people around us who guided us and led us. So that leads right into my next question. Talk about name, image, and likeness, and what you think it can do for the athlete, especially the athlete that may be coming from the inner city, who doesn't have the all the opportunities, but he can shoot the rock. What can that do for them? Because a lot of times we skip school because we want to go provide for our families, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's what it's all about in the end. But sometimes we do that and we skip the education piece and all that, and we just go jump straight into it. So talk about what it can do maybe for the less fortunate child who just barely got a scholarship, and how it can help him get his education while still being able to provide for himself, and maybe he'll stay there and mature and grow as a person and as a basketball player before we go run and jump ship, because a lot of these players go jump ship, but then you don't hear from them no more.
Right.
So
because you missed a step.
Yeah.
You missed steps.
So talk
And
about
you talk about image. You said image and likeness.
image and likeness. Yeah, what it can do for the athlete, and how they should be taking advantage of that.
Yeah. So when you talk about image and likeness, you're talking about how people perceive you, right? Your image, how you dress, how you talk, how you speak. With my business, with your business, everything from your logo to your shirt, the way you cut your hair, image.
Yep.
Image is everything.
Yep.
That's the difference between somebody saying, I don't want to do a contract with him. It's his images. He's saying he's talking good, but his image, I can't I can't do that. Likeness, are you likable? Or do people like how you move? Are they attracted to your character and your integrity? For me, that's huge. Like when you asked me to do the podcast, I said, well, Mike, what's it about? Is it because my image is everything?
Exactly.
And once I lose that, and I knew who you were, but I still had to ask, like, what's your vision and how you how you move?
Because you have a certain image that you have and that you have to upkeep for BJ Sports, and you having a brand means that you are your brand every day.
Every day.
When I go to the store, I'm representing my brand. When I go get in my car and I'm out there in the streets, I'm representing my brand at all times. So that means you have to walk and talk and be your brand at all times. So how can that
all
affect
it takes is one time for you to mess that image up.
Yep.
And so with the image and likeness, with our youth, that's what they're going to learn. What you're doing, kids are going to be able to get some nuggets and get some knowledge of something that they didn't get at home.
That's right.
See, a lot of the kids that we work with in the city of Anacostia and these different schools, they don't get the stuff that we're talking about. That's why this is a great, platform you have. And with the image and likeness, kids don't really get it yet.
They don't understand how big this is. Can you imagine after a game? You could have went to I'm your marketing agent,
right?
And I say, Bruce, after the game, I'm gonna take you here, and you can go make a couple of $100. You gonna sign some autographs.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. Or
I knew it was coming. Oh
yeah, it was just a matter of time.
It was coming.
It was just a matter of time, man. And talk about that. Do you think that was well overdue, or because for a long time they say, well, you're getting a scholarship. But do you think this should have been happening? Because some of my guests said, they felt like it should have been happening. When you in a big time university and you go to the store and you see a jersey in the shop, but you can't get nothing from it. Yeah. Kind of, I talked about a couple of shows, kind of how like Aaron Rodgers is mad at his general manager right now because he's saying, I am Green Bay. When you think about Aaron Rodgers, you think about Green Bay. Right. And it's the players. He knows the value. Yes. So it's the players that have the value. So for a long time, the colleges have been benefiting from the players' value because they not there just because it's Alabama. They there because they watching them kids play and bust they behind every day. Right. You know what I'm saying? So
I would say you got to be careful though, Mike. You're a God-fearing person. I am too. We always preach balance.
Absolutely.
So whenever you're dealing with our people, our young people, and you talk about money and making money off of your talent, what you do, you got to be careful because you still got to teach humility. You got to still teach integrity. You know, you're gonna make the money because you're talented and you're doing the right things, but just make sure you don't forget the small things that we're
That's
talking
right.
about.
That's
So,
right.
you know, I'm all for it just as long as we keep kids balanced in
And,
this whole
and
situation.
that's part of it. Why I'm trying to teach them how to build brands
Yeah,
and businesses outside the game because it's a process to this.
yeah,
There's a certain way you have to act, a certain way you have to carry yourself
definitely.
in order to make these things
Yep.
succeed. So these are kind of the things that I probably get into a little more
Hmm.
depth with them a little bit later in my content. But definitely, it all matters. And without those
That's
things
right.
that you're saying,
It's
without
not
that
gonna
that
last.
structure, it's definitely not gonna last.
It's not gonna last.
Yep, it's not gonna last at all. Um, the transfer portal. What do you think about that? A lot of kids are moving now. Um, what do you think about it? Because sometimes you make a decision to go to school, and it wasn't the right decision. It wasn't the right fit. But also, too, we talked about, you know, they want them to be the minute, the instant, and sometimes it's a
You know,
kid
I'm about
gets
to go
saved.
there.
I know. That's why I said it.
Yeah.
And sometimes, um, it's just that I wasn't getting the time, so
It's pros and
it's
cons.
pros and cons. So let's talk about a little bit about the transfer portal and the pros and cons of it, and what about it.
On one hand, I think it's a great thing because it allows kids to have options that are in a bad situation.
Mhm.
Um, you got some coaches out here that are really using kids, and if you can't make me the best coach and make me look good,
Mhm.
then
I ain't got nothing
I
for
ain't
you.
got nothing for you.
Yep. And that's even on the high school level.
So kids are able to go back to that business aspect and have options now. Okay, well, this is not the best situation for me. Let me weigh my options.
Hmm.
Georgetown over here,
Hmm.
they have my best interests. I
Hmm.
know the coach.
Hmm.
I'm gonna go over here for 2 years.
Hmm.
Um, so that's a good thing. That's a good
Hmm.
thing. On the flip side, you're gonna have some kids that they don't like the way the coach is coaching them, and it might be the best thing for them. They're gonna mess around and leave and jump the gun, and you're gonna make the wrong move. Perfect example.
Because
I
we're talking
was
about 17-year-old, 18-year-old
17-year-old
kids,
kids
so we
that
got to
don't
remember that
have
too.
Mike or their father or their parents to tell them, I think you should just sit tight and go through the process.
Yep. Yep.
So I'll tell you a story. It was my sophomore year at A&T,
Hmm.
and me and the coach weren't really getting along that well, right?
Okay.
Yeah, great guy.
Hmm.
It's just what happens, right?
Hmm.
So I had the opportunity to go play for Mike Jarvis. I had the opportunity to go play at St. John's, right?
Okay.
Um, and had a great game in the summertime of the Kennedy League. And I was about to make that decision to make that move. And I had a conversation with Mike.
Okay.
And you know what he told me?
What's that?
He said, we would love to have you, but there's 6 other guys your same height, your same position, and you would have to fight to get time. I'm not saying you wouldn't get it,
Hmm.
but he said, why would you leave A&T? You're doing your thing down there. He said, I wouldn't do it. And I said,
It's a good man.
what?
It's a good man.
He could have said, forget that. I need you down here.
Yep.
And that taught me a lot.
Hmm.
So that's why I say, and not just in basketball, you got to be careful jumping from spot to spot, job to job, relationship to relationship. You're going to find yourself just being
In that
a
same,
jump man,
yep. You can
you
find
know?
yourself in that same pattern
Same
over and
pattern
over
over and
again.
over and over again. And you're
Yep.
going to look up, you're going to be 50, and you're going to be like, man, I should have stayed,
You,
you
you you'd
know,
be a jack of all trades, but
jack
a
of all trades, master
master
of
of
none.
none.
So you got to be careful and prayerful about how you move, man. So
Hmm.
it's pros and cons to it. Shout out to the kids that are making the right moves and it's working out for them. But just be
Hmm.
careful, man.
Absolutely.
Talk to the right people and listen.
Yeah.
You know.
And make sure them people got your best interests at hand and they not
Yeah.
just trying to spoon feed themselves because unfortunately a lot of people are just
Yeah.
worrying about where they gonna get that next dollar and how they gonna capitalize off your hard work.
Not only that, watch how the coaches approach and watch their methods.
Hmm.
If it's under the table, if it's behind the coach's back, if it's not done with integrity, it's not the right move.
Hmm.
It's
I,
not the right
I,
move.
I totally agree. And integrity is a big part of it. A lot of people move a lot of different
Hmm.
ways, and
Hmm.
you know that's how they choose to do it.
That's how they move.
I'm not here to knock them or whatever, but that's
Yeah,
their choice. But I just always feel like when things are done with integrity and done the right,
it always
the
works
like
out.
always, and it lasts longer.
Now maybe
You
not
know,
right away, but down the road it works out.
for the longevity.
Yep.
And I want our people to stop being so short minded. You know, because
Yeah.
sometimes we don't think about the longevity and building for the longevity. And that's ultimately what you want to do.
Yep.
Because them short things go away very fast. So you want to have
Quick.
something that's going to last and something that can propel you for years
That's
to
it.
come. So you talked a little bit about the coaches. Talk about, do you think that coaches should have stipulations in college? Because sometimes, you know, I'm coaching, I come to Bruce's house and I say, man, Bruce, I need you. I'm gonna be here next year. I got this. You sign. You ready to come? Month before the season start, that coach gone. You know,
Mm,
and that could impact Bruce's life. Bruce
mm.
may not have another backup plan, and the person coming in may not like that. That can affect a lot of different things. So,
Happens
do
all the time.
yeah, yeah. So let's talk about that a little. Do you think that coaches should have stipulations of moving? Because some people feel like they should have stipulations or just a deadline or when they can, so they won't affect the kids so much.
I think it's hard. I think it's hard. I think stipulations are always good. I think structure and guidelines are always good, and rules and policies. Um, but like I said, pros and cons to all of it. A lot of times with the transfer portal, it hurts the coach because he's done it the right way, but then a kid
Just
leaves.
leave him. Now he's stuck.
Now he's stuck,
Yeah.
and it's a good coach. Like he
Mhm,
cares about the kids.
mhm.
So yeah, I think both sides should have the player and the coach should have stipulations because at the end of the day, what are we trying to do? We weren't trying to win championships, or we trying to make kids better people.
I
You know what I'm
talked
saying?
about that with Rob yesterday, and that was one of the things that I
Yeah,
told him that separate him from all the other coaches because he actually cared. If you talk to him, he cares about his
yeah, he
kids.
does.
You can see the passion in his eyes when he speak about the kids. And the kids, you know, they say the kids wild and all this, but one thing about the kids is they know if you love them.
Oh yeah,
They know if Coach Jenkins care about them. They know it, and you can't fake that.
you
You can't
can't
fake that, you know. So I
you can't
definitely
act on that.
know. They know. They
Kids,
know.
they can see that a mile away, man.
Yeah, and they see it coming, and they see
Yeah.
it coming. So I'm you leave this last question, and we're gonna close out with this
Hmm.
one. So what advice would you give all the kids watching that that's dreaming and gets to be successful? You know, as a college athlete, a human being on and off the court. What one more piece of advice to them just to make those things happen? Because you know we talking about obstacles, we talk about people around you, you know. So we talking about a lot of different variables in order to be a
Hmm.
successful person. So guess what would be the one thing that if you had to pick out amongst all the things, because it's a lot of important things. I mean, a lot of things that are
Hmm.
important in order to make that happen. But what's the one thing that you can tell them that can really, really always help them? They can always go back to it and say, "Yeah, I need to do this."
I'm gonna say number one for me, put God first. Um, I can think about all the pitfalls that I could have fell in, all the places I've been in my life, and where I am now, married with a family, and I'm able to talk about it. I think keeping God first is what really has kept me sane mentally throughout all of this, through my
Mhm,
career, on and off the court.
mhm,
Um, you're gonna go through a lot of different changes in your life, and you're gonna come to situations where you don't know if you're gonna make it or not, whether it be mentally or physically.
mhm,
But when you
mhm,
got God in your life, you keep God first. It helps you to kind of navigate. That ain't you know God's not telling me to make that move. Like we talk about with the portal and all of that. Just preaching to our kids to keep God first, man, and just stay humble and keep that integrity going. So that's it for me. That's number one for me.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll say
yeah,
keep God first
yeah. So I just want to thank you so much from the bottom of my
for
heart,
sure.
Bruce. I appreciate
For
this,
sure.
man. Appreciate you taking the time out your busy day, man.
Yeah.
Make sure y'all go follow him. You know, tell them again once again where they can find you,
Yes,
Bruce.
sir. So you can check me out at BJ3 Sports and Fitness.com. You can also check me out on Instagram at BJ3 Sports and on Facebook at BJ3 Sports and Fitness LLC. Check us out on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6:20, 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. and on Saturdays at 8 a.m. Check us out if you're trying to lose weight and tone muscle. I'm your guy, my man.
Yes, sir. So I want to thank all the guests who is watching today.
Hmm.
Continue to watch, continue to like, continue to add. man, we building some big things over here.
It's a
It's a
great podcast, man. You're doing a
I
good job,
appreciate
man.
that.
I've been watching you, man.
I
You're doing good,
appreciate
man.
that. And we just trying to cultivate some relationships inside this community. And,
Hmm.
like me, yourself, Rob, this is not something that we've been doing. We've been cultivating these kids and working with these kids for the kids for the longest time.
Hmm.
And I just want to, take us all to a bigger platform and get our messages and our words out there, because it can help people,
Hmm.
and especially the kids in our area, man. We know our kids so well, and we know some of the things that's going on in DC with all this violence and all this stuff. It's so many pitfalls for these kids, man. And I guess want to give them something good to stand on,
Yeah.
some good content, something positive, because a lot of the times we always hear negative things,
Hmm.
and I want to give them something good and, kind of a roadmap and a guide, man, and how to navigate through these things, because as we speak, the
It's
college
huge, man.
world is changing, man. It's changing, and like you said about, not getting caught up in just chasing the dollar for the name, image, and likeness. Not just chasing that, but
There you go.
having something else to bring to the table and something else to fall back on. These things are all in big. When we was growing up, no, we didn't think we could own a business, Bruce. That wasn't what was taught to us, and it wasn't preached to us. So I feel like if we just keep nailing this in their heads, man, and keep telling them this is reality for them. They can be
Yeah.
16, 17, 18 years old, and they can be set themselves up for life, and they be good. And that's a huge thing for our people. And if we leverage the social media
Yeah.
and these things that we use the most than anybody, we can leverage them in the endorsement deals.
Yeah.
You can branch off in college, and because you were good, you can take your businesses and go all over the world with them. You can do whatever you want to do and just build and cultivate things
Yeah.
outside the game, man.
So now, if you don't make it to the pros, you still got different avenues.
That's one of the
You
reasons
know.
I call this
Yeah.
outside
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
game,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Because we can sit and talk. It's enough people sitting on here talking about sports and who gonna score the
Right.
buckets and
Right. Right.
stuff.
Right. Right.
We got
Right.
we got plenty of people for
Oh
that.
man.
They don't got to tune in for me for that. I
Yeah.
can give them a lot of basketball stuff, but I prefer to give them something that they can keep
Hmm.
and they can take with them, and hopefully that when people. The kids or anybody who watched the podcast, that it impacts them
Hmm.
in a good way, especially the kids chasing their dreams. So once again, I appreciate you, Bruce. Make sure y'all keep tuning in, man. Each and every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Pretty soon we're gonna have a lot of content throughout the week and just little tidbits and stuff. Even gonna have my man Bruce on there giving
Hmm.
out some tips, some
Hmm.
fitness tips and stuff, so that you know how to take care of your bodies and
That's
take
right.
care of your bodies and eat right. So it's gonna be a lot of good things coming on this channel, man. Next week I got another one. I know I keep telling
Smoker,
y'all
huh?
I got a smoker, Mitch Cradle.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a
Mitch
good one.
Cradle. So I mean, the first all these three episodes, everybody
It's getting better and better, huh?
is getting better, and everybody knows who Mitch Cradle is. So I
Hmm.
had to get him on the show, man, because this guy has been a pillar in the DC area, man. He was a former detective that was coaching basketball. He started
Mm.
Rob. So Mitch was the guy who was the head coach when me, Vaughn, Rob, and
Okay.
B. He the one that gave
Over at MM.
over at MM. He gave a lot of people opportunity. He saved so many kids' lives, man. And I felt like it was important to get this guy on the show. So that is gonna be my next guest for next week. So make y'all tune in. Make sure y'all tune into him. Mitch is doing a lot of good things. Got films on A&E now and Netflix. I can't think of them. Think of the name of them right now, but we're gonna talk about it on the show. So once again, everybody be safe. BJ3 Sports. Bruce Jenkins, thank you for having me. Keep cultivating these relationships out here,
Hmm.
man. Keep growing, 10 toes down, keep grinding, and we're going to catch y'all next week.
Yes, sir.
Peace.